Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet?
I love people as I meet them one by one. People are just wonderful as individuals. You see the whole...
My great aspiration, my greatest ambition is to be so good. Now, in that way, I'm tiresome, as I suppose, to live with, because I want to be a fantastic human being.
I am the greatest. We're not disputing that, Cassius, but how does Sonny Liston feel about it? He can't feel but one way, and let's take everything I say and like it. Because February the 25th, I'm going to take back my job. I'm the champ. He's no champ. He's a tramp.
When you see men fall, don't laugh. Learn. Learn. Because you're on your way up. And the things that tempt people to fall, you and I are not free from that temptation.
Mantra, slave song, slave ship, rip skin, made me rip bones. But no matter how close my ancestors speak, they tell me they're tired of them praying on us like we're weak. I haven't been getting sleep, longing to sing until I surpass peak, until they think we are equal. Please, all I want is peace. My ancestors beat drums until their palms would bleed, begging that generations remember our story.
What's up, YouTube? Happy Monday. Peace, blessings, glory, praise, and honor to the Most High. Hope all is well with each and every single one of you. Hope y'all feeling well. I hope you started your week off strong. You see the title. This is a live reaction. I'm just going to share my own thoughts and opinions on this back and forth between Mr. Tate and Piers Morgan. Shout out to my writers, my poets, my content creators. You know who you are. Shout out to Sydney. Shout out to Rob. Appreciate the prayers, the intercessory. Yeah, this is about to be a very, very interesting week. A very interesting week. Hold your head high. Keep your spirits right where they need to be at. Block out anything that's negative, that's not conducive to your growth. Me and Virgo are going to be pulling up tomorrow. Yeah, that's going to be fire. I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be a live. It's been a while since I did a live reaction to a battle rap. So, yeah, this should be dope. Tomorrow, 8 o'clock, or a little bit after. We haven't really decided on a specific time yet, but it's definitely going to be between 8 or a little bit after. But the morning show will take over where the 7 o'clock spot is being replaced temporarily. Do me a solid before we get into this video, because this is going to be a very lengthy one. Repost, share, let the people know that we are on. If you have any feedback, if you believe in anything that you hear, if you disagree, share them in the comments. I'm just going to give my personal take on this because, well, people tend to listen to them. Now, should you really be listening to them? That's subjective. That being said, they cover a lot up here. So I'm going to try my best not to jump in too much. only when I feel like it's necessary. Let's get this up on a big screen real quick. Do I want this side or do I want the other side? I think I might have to swap. Just go over here. Yeah. All right. I want y'all to get the full screen. Now they're talking about Charlie Kirk. They're talking about a lot of different situations with politics, and I hate politics, but I want to hear what they got to say. So let me unmute this before I start playing it. All right. Let's go.
How's really changed my life in many ways, actually.
Improved my health, improved my self-confidence. My appearance.
That's nice. Why did they do?
My friends, these prophecies are brought to you.
Stop. Hold on. Why the fuck do they do that shit to me every single time? Hold up. Let me go back. Hold on. I don't know why they do that shit. Hold up. Where is it? Okay. Oh, shit. Let's try this again. So what I'm trying to do, I had the shit on the screen, but they keep on skipping over the fucking video. Hold up. Let me bring this back up here. All right, there we go. Now let's try this again. All right. Big screen. Don't worry. We won't get there. All right. All right, now let's try this again.
Extremists, that the far right has its own problem with extremists. There have been lots of left-wing politicians and public figures who've been targeted. So I think it's a problem that goes both ways. But I have said for quite a while that the woke mind virus, as Elon Musk calls it, that ideology is extremely dangerous, because the irony of it is you've got this kid who is, purporting to be anti-fascist, but actually using violence and a gun to silence permanently someone whose views he doesn't agree with. That is the point being, that is the epitome of fascism.
Well, that's exactly it. So the reason this is so dangerous from the left, and it's not as dangerous from the right, is because the people who are on the right live in a version of objective reality. We live in the real world. These people do not live in the real world. If you're going to believe that a man is a woman, and you're going to believe that we should have no borders for our country and unlimited numbers of people can turn up and just steal from us, If you're going to believe that criminals shouldn't go to jail, you're not a person who's sensible. You now have no parameters from which to operate your logic. So if you're going to live in a complete fantasy land, it becomes a lot easier to justify murdering a political opponent than it does if you operate from a frame of rationality. So for that reason, the left are far more dangerous, because all of their ideas are dangerous because none of them are true. None of them are real. For the same reason it's dangerous for me to say to you, gravity isn't real, you can jump off a building. If you start believing in things that are completely falsified, completely fantasy.
Imagine.
Let me go ahead and stop it real quick. I'm going to mute that because you're not, no, I'll play that in the back. Look, this is how I feel. You might feel differently. I do not believe in this whole leftist right shit. I don't believe in that. I believe that people are just people in general. One side believes in something more than the other side. That's it. That does not necessarily mean, like, I put it this way. The only reason people associate these terminologies is so that they can continue to build this case that we are objectively different by like a landslide. Like everything is just you're this and you're that, and that's how it is. That's how it's always been. Nah, you just are the way you are because that's who you are. It has nothing to do with you being a leftist or a rightist. That's just who you are as a person. And then they just create these frames of work to make it seem like it's under some type of nah. I've never really bought into that shit. Hold on a second.
America especially, you add in a spiritual sickness where we have nothing unifying us in the West anymore. We don't share respect for a flag. We don't share respect for the country we're in. We don't share language. We don't share religion. We don't even share economic prosperity anymore. There's literally nothing unifying us. And if you're going to remove the capability to debate and discuss ideas, then you're going to have an absolute civil war. And that's what's so sad, that Charlie Kirk literally was the #1 guy trying to speak. He wasn't trying to inflame tensions. He wasn't trying to push violence. He was the guy saying, look, let's talk this through and let me show you why you're wrong. He was the good guy who did the right thing, and he caught a bullet for it. And that is truly devastating.
One thing I disagree with is his intentions. Like, we don't know if that brother was trying to start a war. We don't know if that man was 1000% racist. We don't know if he was a plant. We don't know if that man was out here trying to purposely and intentionally do what everybody is thinking. Like, you got one side that say that man hated black people. You got another side that say he's just being honest. You got different opinions. Nothing wrong with having different opinions. Here's my take. We are supposed to be able to be honest, tell the truth how we see it. We should be able to have discussions and debates about things that we agree and disagree on, whether or not you would like to hear it or don't. You're not going to agree on everything. You're not going to like what everybody has to say. The point is, we are here specifically for the purpose of getting down to the bottom of why our society is decaying around us, why the culture is decaying around us, why we are constantly in war, and why we are dealing with poverty, and why we're dealing with sickness and hatred that is unnecessarily being generated or created by specific groups of people for no apparent reason. We are supposed to be having these conversations to find solutions, not to be pointing the finger and the blame at who is wronger and who is righter. It should never be about who is more wrong or right. It should be about trying to fix the problem. Fix the fucking problem. Stop arguing. Stop making this shit about men versus women, about color, and about gender. It's not about any of that. It's about the truth being told. And sometimes the truth is ugly. Sometimes the truth reveals who you are as a person, your character. Sometimes the truth is necessary to expose the real issues, the real villains, the real problems. So I disagree to a certain extent. I do not personally believe that he's either this or that. Like, you would really have to know your research and know his history and really understand what he was doing in his life. Like, there's just too much. I hate giving like this, oh, this is what it is because I said it, and then I'm supposed to just believe that shit because you said it.
But when you post civil war, literally one post just said civil war, what do you mean by that? What do you expect?
I mean that civil war is coming if we can't talk to each other.
Well, that's a different sentiment. Had you said that, then fair enough. But just to say civil war is...
Well, did I give a verb?
Well, what you're saying by civil war, you're saying to your followers that you believe there is a state of civil war here. Now, as you know, the Civil War in America was one of the most consequential periods in its history and was waged with gun violence.
Well, I can answer that in two ways. Firstly, if conservatives can't give their opinion and they can't talk openly and freely without catching a bullet, then I guess it is a war. But that wasn't what I was inferring. I was inferring that a civil war is coming if we can't speak to each other and unify behind an idea, especially the idea of being an American. You've now added a verb saying that I was trying to incite civil war, because very much like all other media figures, it's your primary intention.
I didn't add anything.
It's your primary intention to just spin up negative clips and find things that get you views. And that's exactly what the liberal media has always done, which is why conservatives are under permanent attack.
Hang on.
We're going to now sit here and say I'm a violent person.
No, I didn't say that.
When someone else turns up at my house attempting to kill me like they did 3 weeks ago,
why are you putting words
that has nothing to do with you, Pierce?
Why are you
the liberal media in and of itself is truly
talking.
Disgusting. It's the reason why Charlie Kirk had to eat a bullet. Because the liberal media convinced this guy who's been probably looks like he's on SSRIs to me, that Charlie Kirk was the heart of evil when he truly wasn't. So please do not, in this conversation about a fallen comrade, do not do the exact thing the media always do and the exact thing that ended up getting him killed. Do not say I said something I didn't say, and do not give some garbage inference trying to get a bunch of clicks on your channel. You may need money, but I don't, sir. So I don't care about clicks.
Respond.
You may be broke. I'm not. I didn't say let's go to civil war.
If I may respond,
say let's start a civil war.
If I may respond,
I said
you can keep talking, Andrew, or you can shut up. I never added any verb. I literally read your post was 2 words. And
neither did
civil war. I never added a verb. So the whole pretext for your whole pretext for your little rant about me is based on a lie, which the viewers will know was a lie because they heard what I said. I never added any words to your post. I read out the words civil war and asked you what you meant by
the word
it. You then
means?
clarified it. And I would say to you in return that if you don't want people to misinterpret your post, then maybe post what you actually mean rather than posting the words civil war, which I think are incendiary.
Thank you very much. It's clear that conservatives are under attack by a rabid left-wing sect of the population, which is being radicalized by media figures, very much like yourself. That is clear. We just saw a man bleed to death in front of his wife and children, purely because the media convinces everybody at home that he is evil somehow for having an opinion.
There is an irony. There is an irony.
You know what's interesting about this exchange? Because the same thing that Andrew Tate is accusing him of, he's no different. See, here's the thing. Most of social media is propaganda, and most of it is literally ran by folks that you idolize and worship, folks that you would buy tickets for, folks that you would fight for in the comment section, folks that y'all would literally destroy your relationships over. There's people like Andrew and people like Piers and Morgan who can get in front of the camera and tell a million people, look, left is right and right is up. And you will absolutely believe it because they have the numbers and they have the followers behind them to substantiate them being true, even though most folks don't do the research or really know their history. So you just go off of what you hear from prominent prospects in social media. Basically, if you're famous, you can get away with saying whatever the hell you want out your mouth. There's things that I agree with and I disagree with here. One, when you're dealing with people who are trained in media, they know how to flip the script. They know how to piss you off. They know how to trigger you. They know how to click farm. They know how to clickbait. They know how to create questions and scenarios that's going to turn into viral moments. They take your arguments from prior podcasts, prior shows, prior videos. They take questions, they create them, and they set them up in a way that when they get you on the platform, they know exactly what they want to argue, what they want to highlight, because the people that are going to be viewing it, they are there specifically to hear you address certain things that has transpired within your culture or throughout your run being in the position that you're in. That's why I'm a big fan of understanding context. Make sure you know that you know what you're responding to. Don't just be responding to something just to be defensive or be on the offense, or because like you're coming into this already feeling like you're about to be attacked, so you have to constantly be on eggshells. True debates and true exchanges in Discord should never be filtered. You should never feel like you have to hold back punches or be worried about getting crucified for telling your truth. But don't get it twisted. Don't be trying to sit up here and flip my words and make it seem like I said something that I really didn't. Because then you're going to give people the, like, if you're not really listening to what they're saying, you'll think that what Piers Morgan is trying to say is absolutely what he's saying. Context, man. Context. That's all I'm saying.
And MSNBC and all of these people who do this, even after his death, were constantly trying to make excuses for the shooter. It is disgusting.
Okay.
And I know you don't care, Piers, but a man tried to come into my house and stab me 3 weeks ago. So for you to infer I'm saying that we need to have a civil war, it's actually quite heinous. So please be careful, sir.
I'm not the one who said civil war. You are.
I said civil war, and then you tried to infer. You tried to sit and ask and infer that I'm trying to promote violence.
I asked you what you meant by it.
First, you talked about how my tweets are inflammatory, and you're trying to say that I promote violence. Then you read those tweets out because you're inferring I'm a violent person, so that some idiot at home is going to watch this and believe that I deserve to die. And I'm telling you that I'm here. I understand you need views. I understand you need clicks. I understand you're poor. I'm not. I'm here. I don't give a shit about the views. Do not infer I said something I did not say. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I didn't, as everybody who watches this knows. So you just lied. Andrew Tate, thank you very much. Well, now, here is that extraordinary interview from early this week, as it was recorded in real time. Today's show is brought to you by Oxford Natural, makers of the Optimum Day and Optimum Night, all natural supplements.
You know, it's crazy as shit. Whenever, like, if I have a conversation or I bring somebody up to talk about anything, I don't go into it with the intentions on trying to egg somebody on. I don't bring you up trying to make you look bad or bring you up trying to expose somebody. We're not here for that. We're here to actually get to the bottom line of what's really plaguing our country, or we're talking about mental health, or we're talking about relationships, whatever the case may be. I'm not looking at your history and I'm trying to poke holes and embarrass or you. That no, I never understood that. Why do people do that? Like, that shit is crazy to me. Hold on. Let's get to this next portion. Is he done? Let me see if he's done with him.
A small movement can rapidly become a nationwide phenomenon. A shocking but local incident can trigger global indignation. But the root cause of it all and the motives behind it can both get lost in the noise. This summer's Raise the Colours campaign is a case in point, a big push to hoist the English flag across the country has entangled fair-minded protest and patriotism with propaganda and prejudice. People are angry, but not everything they're angry about is true. The same can be said about the brutal murder of Ukrainian refugee Irina Zarutska on a train in North Carolina. Justified online fury over the appalling footage has sparked a massive furore, prompting even the US president to intervene. But some people believe it's only become a racial scandal because of bad faith actors on social media. Andrew Tate understands these issues well, and he joins me now. Andrew Tate, welcome back to Uncensored.
Piers.
I've not spoken to you since, obviously, a massive development in your life. I need to talk about the elephant in the room off the top. You're facing 10 charges, including rape, actual bodily harm, human trafficking, and controlling prostitution for gain, related to 3 women in the UK. And your brother Tristan faces 11 charges, including rape, actual bodily harm, and human trafficking. What is your response to that development in your life?
My response is very simple, Piers. It was the UK Foreign Office that wrote to the Romanians in 2023 and said I was a national security threat because I had too much influence over the young men of the country. They told the Romanians to get me off the internet. The Romanians arrested me and, as you know, spent 3 years accusing me of things that were not true. The Romanians threw the entire case out because it's garbage and there never was a case. Once the Romanians throw their case out, then the British state brings up some garbage. I'm considered a national security threat to the Matrix, and all they do is lie. You have seen, and we have spoken multiple times throughout this fiasco of what's happened to me in Romania, and I've yet to have a court case or ever be convicted of anything ever. This is a deep state operation by the UK Foreign Office trying to stop me from doing the one thing I'm intent on doing, which is saving the British state from themselves.
Will you come back to the United Kingdom to stand trial?
Absolutely. I'm not scared of these people. They're lying and they know they're lying. I beat the Romanian system, sir. You do understand this is the most corrupt country in Europe. You do understand that if there was even 1% truth to any of their accusations, I'd be under the jail. I'm sure you know that very well. They couldn't even find a victim. It is all invented. The UK Foreign Office specifically wrote to the Romanians and said, get him off the internet. I have the paperwork. The second I'm there in the UK, I'll be sitting with you, unless I'm remanded, with that piece of paper showing you this is a setup from an intelligence agency because I'm considered a national security threat because young men listen to me instead of their propaganda. It is a lie. And anybody after Lucy Connolly and everything else they've done to everybody after the Southport attacks, if anybody has any faith left in the British justice system, they need their head checked. All of it's a lie. All of the accusations a lie. All of the media is a lie. It's a scam. And Piers, you know it is. You know I've done nothing wrong.
I don't know that.
Yes, of course you do. Even you.
I don't know.
Even
I don't
you,
know. I don't know.
Even you.
I don't know. Just to be
with
clear.
Your limited faculty,
listen, Andrew.
Understand very well that I am clearly a target of the system.
Andrew, I know what you say about this. I also believe that everyone's entitled to a fair trial. I believe everyone's innocent till proven guilty. And I believe in the British justice system. If you say you're going to come back and face trial, that seems to me to be the best way for the evidence to be properly examined in a British court of law, and your fate will be determined in that way, as it is for many other people. I don't know.
Believe in the British
I've not been around you in your environment. I don't know. I don't know whether you're innocent or guilty. How would I know?
Well, you do know I'm innocent. I can see it all over your face, Piers.
No, you can't.
Of course I can.
I don't know what you're guilty of or innocent of.
Well, you sat there and told me that Israel wasn't committing a genocide and you were wrong. And you told me that the vaccine was important and you were wrong. And you told me that I was going to go to jail in Romania and you were wrong. So your whole life you've been wrong.
I didn't.
So you're wrong
well,
again if you believe in the
okay.
British
Just to be
justice system,
clear,
because that's a setup and a scam.
just to be clear,
I'm innocent completely.
just to be clear,
I
I did not.
By now,
Just to be clear,
you get educated, and I am telling you,
all right,
I'm
you keep
innocent.
shouting.
So you should listen to me.
Okay. Just to be clear, I never told you anything about what would happen in the Romanian system, other than I would await the justice system to play out there. On genocide with Israel, I still don't think it is at the bar of genocide, because no other official body has said that it is genocide yet. I will wait and see how that plays out. So you make a lot of claims about what I've said, but none of it bears relation to reality. You said about vaccines. What did you say about vaccines?
Firstly, I think we should actually, I'm going to do you a favor here, sir. I think we should move on, because for me to destroy you over vaccines in Israel again, I mean, this will be the fourth iteration of these conversations. If you're waiting for the official body of Israel to admit they're doing a genocide, we're going to be waiting for a long time. And if you believe in the British justice system after everything they've just done and the bullshit they've locked people up for, you're an idiot. So let's just move on from this into something that's actually interesting to discuss, because everybody at home knows you're wrong.
You know what's funny about this shit, man? The only real culprits here are humans. At the end of the day, like, whether or not you believe any of this shit that either one of them is saying, there's nobody else to blame for it. Nobody. You can't blame an animal for this shit. You cannot blame aliens for why humans hate humans. You cannot blame aliens for why humans steal and rob and kill from humans. You cannot blame no outside entity for the reason why humans are selfish, greedy, and manipulative. We are the ones that destroy us. We are the ones who lie to get ahead. We are the ones who step on each other's toes. We are the ones who send the missiles and the bullets and the indiscretions. We are the ones that pray superfluously. We are the ones who get on our hands and knees and worship and beg the gods of social media to come to our aid and rescue, to bring us out of poverty and to give us attention and validation. We are the human beings. We are the people who create infidelity, that create cheating, that create lies. We are the ones that put each other in the grave, put each other in jail, hang each other, argue with each other, bully each other. We are responsible for all the STDs. We are responsible for all the pestilence. Who else are you going to blame for that? Whether or not this man is guilty or innocent of anything that he is being accused of, Piers Morgan's job is to be a grifter. He's a grifter and a panderer, just like the rest of them. Rarely will you come across a social media platform that does not give a shit and doesn't have any ties or connections with sponsors or folks that put money in their pocket. He's definitely being paid by folks. You watch the video at the beginning of this shit. He's giving a shout out to one of his sponsors. You think he's going to sit up here and tell y'all that he believes in this or that? He's going to try his best to appease both sides. That's what they all do.
Okay, that's actually demonstrably not true, but I'm happy to move on. And for what it's worth, as I think I said to you last time, I believe the COVID vaccines saved a lot of lives. They weren't perfect. Like all vaccines, there were problems associated with it, but I believe they saved.
And let me just say this too, because I took the vaccine. I wish I wouldn't have, because I still ended up getting shit. I still ended up getting COVID. It's like, what the fuck was the point of it? Fun fact, I got in trouble for talking about this almost a year ago They kicked me off YouTube because I was speaking on that, saying I was spreading false information. What's false about that shit? Y'all forced me to take this so that I could work, because I don't have the shot. I can't provide for myself, or I can't take care of myself. So you coerced people to take the shit, but people still ended up getting sick from it. Piers Morgan is doing what I just said. He's trying to appease both sides. Nah, you can't do that.
A lot of lies. You don't agree? I believe that. So we can, I hope, respect each other's opinions. But let's go on to why I think you wanted to come on Uncensored today. Well, why don't you tell me why you wanted to come on today?
Because what happened to that poor Ukrainian girl on the bus is absolutely disgusting. And I'm here because I think it ties into the Raise to Colors campaign. And I'll be actually perfectly honest with you. The reason I am here is to hopefully, as a half black, half white man, inspire white people to once again defend themselves and defend their nations, because they are clearly being genocided. They're the most subjugated, the most prejudiced, the number one race which has to suffer from the most prejudice on the planet in the world today. And I'm waiting for them to stand up for themselves and stick up for themselves. And I'll tell you why. I have children from multiple women, and I am racially ambiguous in many ways. When I go to Egypt, people talk to me in Egyptian. And some people say I look white. Some people say I look mixed race. I get called all of these things. But when I have children with a black lady, the children are black, and I have Chinese children, and I have Turkish children, and I have many white children. And I know that my Turkish children have a place they can go where they will not be subject to violence because of their skin color. As the same with my Chinese and black children. There's many places on the earth they're going to be free to grow up when I'm gone. I'm very worried for my white daughters, because I don't think they're going to have a country anywhere left on this planet in less than a decade where they're not going to be a victim or a target for potential rape or violent crime purely because of the color of their skin. And it is down to white people to finally grow a backbone and stick up for yourselves, because you're being genocided. This is from a mixed race man. You are being genocided, and you know you are. That's why I'm here.
So you don't think that black people suffer from similar crime? There's nothing more important than good sleep, and it's probably time you upgraded yours, as I have, with our sponsor, Brooklyn Bedding. Brooklyn Mattress.
No free promo, sir. No free promo. You see what I'm talking about? He has sponsors. He works for people. He doesn't run this shit by himself. There are people that's funding his streams, funding his lifestyle. So he has to tread cautiously with everything that he says. He can't pick or choose which side he wants to be on. There were people on Twitter, people on Twitter who were basically pissed off. Matter of fact, it wasn't even just Twitter. Hold on, let me pause this real quick. We're gonna spin back. There's people who think that Andrew Tate is racist. I think there's a lot of people that think certain folks are racist because of the things that they say that are so unflattering when it comes to a specific group of individuals. And I'm here to say two things can be true. You can be Asian and say something disparaging about a black person. No different than you can be a black person and say something disparaging about an Asian person. Stereotypes are there for a reason. They exist for a reason. And just because you don't like the fact that it's somebody on the outside of your culture speaking on something that's negative, does not mean that it's not true, and it does not mean that they should shut the fuck up because you're uncomfortable with them saying it. People, you hear things and you make it about something personal when it's really about something bigger than your own feelings. Now, back to the conversation.
But I would argue, and perhaps I'm wrong, but that's never happened before, that a black person isn't killed because of the color of their skin. They're going to be killed because there's some other drug dealing debt for them to deal with in inner city Chicago. That young girl was killed because she was white. It was a hate crime, and she was targeted.
We don't actually know that.
Of course we know that.
No.
I'll prove. I'll show you how we know that.
No.
Piers,
I know what you're going to say because I've already
that.
debated it. The reality of the situation, you had a severely mentally ill, probably schizophrenic.
I don't give.
I'm about to tell you.
If people are mentally
let's
ill.
deal with some
This is
facts.
a
Then you
cop-out.
can. Let's deal with some facts. Then you can give me your opinion. That's how this works, right? He is heard on tape saying, "I got the white girl." Okay, that suggests a potential racial motivation.
Potentially.
Yeah, okay, but we don't actually know. And I do think, as I've said publicly, I do think the mainstream media has behaved in a very hypocritical manner. If that had been the other way round and you'd had a white man killing a beautiful young black girl and saying, "I got the black girl," it would have instantly been a huge story covered by mainstream media in a very aggressive manner. The fact that this was ignored for several days was an indication to me that there was a decision taken.
Prejudice.
Yeah, so I think there was a clear bias exposed in the way it was ignored. So I would agree with you about that. But I do think it's important to point out this guy had been in and out of prison 14 times, should never have been let out, but is clearly mentally ill, probably schizophrenic. We don't actually know what motivated him to kill this poor Ukrainian woman.
Do.
And the reason it's important is that once we do establish more information and more facts, we can make a more considered opinion. One of the issues I have with you, Andrew, and a lot of other people, is that there's always a rush to judgment. And the problem with rushes to judgment is later information may contradict what you're feeling in the moment. I remember in the riots that erupted after we had a young black boy killing those poor white girls, right? There was a rush to judgment that he'd come in illegally on a boat on the south coast of the UK. It turned out that wasn't the case. So I believe in waiting for facts and information and then casting a judgment. And I think my criticism of you in these situations is you have immediately decided that was the motivation, therefore it's a racist hate crime, and that's it. And I would argue to you, why don't you give it a bit of time? Why don't you wait for more information and make a more considered opinion?
Okay, first things first, if we're going to talk about waiting for information, you shouldn't have told me that Israel was not committing a genocide on October 8th. You've been proven wrong. That's the first thing. The second thing, he said, "I got that white girl." You're going to pretend that doesn't matter as if it's not proof.
I didn't
enough.
say it didn't matter.
Third thing,
I said it suggests a racial motivation.
Everybody who stabs somebody is mentally ill. This mentally ill bullshit, I don't know where this has come from, where someone's a criminal but they're mentally ill. Every single person who commits murder is mentally ill. Every single person who commits necrophilia is mentally ill. Every single person who believes they can get in and out of a bank with money without getting caught has some kind of mental disorder. They're all mentally ill. I don't care about mentally ill. And here's the final nail in the coffin to your asinine argument, sir. Why did he not stab anyone else on the bus? Because he was already on a bus with 4 people and he didn't touch them. If he's so mental, if he can't control his mind, why didn't he stab any of those? Is it because everyone else on the bus was black? The first white person he sees, he kills and says, "I got that white girl." And you don't believe that's enough proof for a court of law to determine that was a racially motivated attack?
It wouldn't be enough proof at the moment for a court of law. No, absolutely, I believe that. But
Oh shit! This is what was triggering people on Twitter, and like I said on the stream that we did last week or so. There's no fucking way he should have even been let out of prison. The system failed him. The system failed that woman. To Piers Morgan's point, we do need the facts. We do need to know the truth. We spend too much of our life assuming based off of face value that this is one thing when it really is deeper than that. Like you have to understand everything is not what you see. Sometimes that shit is deep in that well. You gotta dig and you gotta dig and you gotta dig. If I said XXX is this, don't assume just because I said it that is that. Do your research for yourself. You don't have. I will never tell anybody to just believe me just because I said it. I want you to know for yourself. The whole point is so people wake the fuck up, so you're not dumb, so you're not being blindsided or lied to or manipulated by somebody, because everybody seems to be out for themselves. Everybody seems to have their own agendas in this world. One of the main ones is control. The other one is financial gain and access, so that you don't have to worry about being in the same positions that a lot of people are, struggling consistently. Was this racially motivated? It very well could have been. Absolutely. I have absolutely no sympathy for that man. Put him away. If by law they decide to give him a death penalty, it is what it is. I ain't the judge. The people that were on the train are fucking cowards to me. Every last one of them. I wish that they, by some chance, saw this video so they would know that I think they're all pieces of shit for not doing anything to save that woman's life. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. If you've seen the video, you know what I'm talking about. Schizophrenia, all that. I feel where Andrew T coming from with that shit. If this nigga was so crazy and so nuts, why the hell did you let him out? If he was so crazy, how is he able to ride the train so freely? Put money on his card. How does he know how to get to point A and point B? I think this excuse for people being mental when they commit crimes is bullshit. You can be diagnosed. You can be clinically ascertained to be this and be that. But at the end of the day, if you're still out here fully functional and living your life without somebody following you around with a diaper, and you can go into the store and you can grocery shop and you can do your own laundry and you can pay your own rent, I ain't really trying to hear that excuse. But I digress.
Because I've covered many court cases and you haven't. No, as a journalist, I just prefer. I prefer in waiting for more information.
Black people on the bus. I think this person, who I will agree was probably deranged, although I give no merit to that, although it does not garner any sympathy from me, he clearly had something wrong with him. This person was radicalized by a leftist media machine, which blames every single thing on white people, which says that white people are the devils, that everything white people have done is wrong, that their entire history is wrong, and that they deserve the bad things that happen to them.
You have no idea. You have no idea that he
demonized an entire race endlessly. We're going to end up having a few idiots who act on that.
But Andrew,
and that's what this man did.
But
because of the media. The leftist media are complicit in what happened to this poor young girl.
Actually, you have absolutely no idea if anything you've just said is remotely true.
I have absolute certainty that it is a fact.
None of it. It's not a fact. If it was a fact, we'd all be.
It is a fact.
No, it's not a fact yet. That's the point. This is my point. Again,
the
off you go.
Media has done
off you go, making a series of assumptions.
For as long, okay, all right. If you want to be smart, let me prove you wrong.
I'm not being smart. I'm just saying it's not a fact.
Wrong once again, this is Piers.
This is why you'll still be single in 5 years.
Oh. Nope. Hold on a minute.
I'm well versed in you by now. This is easy. Let me ask you a question. If there's an Islamic terror attack, like the London bombings, and then Abu Hamza, Mr. Hook, Captain Hook, he ends up going to jail for a very long time. He didn't blow anything up, but no, he was talking about how Islamic terror attacks should happen because he believes that people deserve them because of his personal worldview. He was instigating so that some idiot would listen to him with less brains than him and then go and murder. What is the difference between that and what the leftist mainstream media is doing by constantly demonizing white people constantly and endlessly?
Well,
there's always going to be
no,
some
you're
idiot
raising okay.
who's mentally impaired.
Allow me to
This is where I might have to give some pushback, Mr. Tate. Who's really getting put in a negative spotlight the most? Like, come on, my nigga. Everything that I see on social media, everything that I scroll by is about black people. Black women getting killed by their kids. Black men getting killed by other black men. Black women getting killed because they got caught cheating. Black men inappropriately doing things with kids and black women doing this. All I see the majority of the day has something to do with ratchetness, has something to do with something ghetto, has something to do with something negative about black people. All day. Granted, I will give you this. They do talk about white people being weird. And yes, there are some weird white people. Don't act like they're not. Don't act like there aren't no white teachers out here sleeping with their students, getting pregnant by their students, my nigga. Let's not act like we didn't have the Unabomber, my nigga. Let's not act like that school shooting didn't just happen. 16-year-old boy, white boy, might add, didn't just go up in there and do what he did. Who are the majority involved in these school shootings? Mr. Tate. Do you know if I pulled up my phone right now and I went on social media, it would talk about Drea Michelle, Cardi B, Glorilla, Sexy Red, Young Thug, Birdman. It would be a bunch of drama. It would be nothing but rumors, gossip, infidelity, drugs, snitching, rat this, rat that. It's way more highlighted for black people's problems than it is white. We get put in some of the most fucked up positions. Stop that. I understand what you're trying to say. I really think you're just trolling because there's no fucking way you really believe that shit. Let's keep it a buck. Everybody, black, white, Mexican, everybody out here fucking crashing out. Everybody out here stealing and robbing, and it's not solely you. Y'all are some of the biggest fucking hypocrites and manipulators and liars I ever met in my life. White people are the reason why we are the way we are. Fighting each other. All these fucking liquor stores in our neighborhoods and all that shit. Oh.
Who's going to act upon
Allow me to respond.
So we're locking up Islamic extremists for discussing violence against
Allow
people
me
who
to
are not
respond.
Muslim. We should also be locking up anybody who's demonizing an entire race, demonizing all of their history, and demonizing them to the point where they cannot get on a bus. They can't get on public transport without worrying about being murdered. And I have a future on this planet where I'm not here. There's a future on this planet where my white daughters exist and I am gone. and they will be victims and targets unless white people start standing up for themselves, standing up for their beliefs, and standing up for their nations. Because you're the only race which is being erased. You're the only one. Nobody is invading and erasing any other race. Only you white people. And you seem to sit there and wonder, oh, maybe it's not too bad. Maybe it's because of this. Maybe it's because of that. It doesn't matter. The world is tribal. You're not going to exist much longer if you don't stick up for yourselves. And you are clearly targets of an orchestrated campaign. There is a campaign which is designed to demoralize and eradicate you. And there are a few idiots who listen to this campaign and act on it savagely in real time on your public transport systems that you pay for with your taxes.
When you stop shouting.
Let me ask you a question, Pierce.
Well, why don't you just stop shouting for a moment and let me respond?
Majority of taxes to import white people who don't work to replace them? No other race on the planet would commit suicide to this level besides the white man.
Yeah.
And I'm here to encourage the white man to stand up for himself.
Well, since you mentioned taxes, you could explain why the police had to seize more than £2 million from your brother for failing to pay tax on revenue from your online businesses.
Great way to change subject. Why did the British state try and steal my money? Well, considering the British state, the Foreign Office meddled in a foreign country's prosecution service and wrote them a letter and asked the intelligence services of Romania to get me off the internet. I guess, since I'm a national security threat, all bets are off. Of course they stole my money. Of course they do. They do anything they can to me because they consider me the enemy.
But you avoided paying tax, so you raised the issue of being a taxpayer.
They do.
Well, you raised the issue of being a taxpayer.
They want to get rid of the man who talks about the problem.
All right,
and then the UK doesn't have enough issues.
At some point, you need to stop
talking. Let me ask
talking.
you a question, sir. All of the knife crime that's happening in London, all of the blood that's running on the streets, considering you can't even wear a nice watch in that city anymore, is it white people or black people who are doing the stabbing?
Well,
I'm half white, half black. You can't offend me. Just tell me the truth.
And who are most of the victims?
Who's doing all the killing?
And who are most of the victims?
Well, some of them are black. Some of them are white. It doesn't matter.
Actually, the vast majority are black. So
I
your
don't
whole
care if
argument,
blacks kill
the whole
only
argument
blacks.
you've been
Blacks
shouting
shouldn't
about,
be killing people.
the whole argument you've been shouting about for the last 10 minutes, you've just exposed yourself as being a misleading argument.
Absolutely not. I don't care if black people kill only blacks. I don't care if black people only kill Chinese. Black people shouldn't be killing. There is an issue within the black community which is leading them towards violence. We can discuss whether it's genetic. We can discuss whether it's cultural. We can discuss whether it's systemic. We can discuss that. But it is asinine and ignorant to pretend that there is not a culture within the black community which is leading to violence. There clearly is. There clearly is. And that needs to be addressed. I say this as a half black man myself. My father was black. Half of my family is black. But I'm not blind.
Ho, 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 ho. Mr. Let's go ahead and just stop it right there, shall we? Sir, I don't disagree with you. Okay. To answer your question, all of it is systemic. Nothing is without a design. You wouldn't be Andrew Tate if it wasn't for the people. Your genetics wouldn't be a mixture of what it is if it wasn't for the people. Do you know what the ultimate, and these are like my closing arguments, so to speak. When the dust settles, do you know what the ultimate drive for everybody is? The main motivator. No matter what, you don't have to agree. You can disagree with me all you want. The main denominator in the hate, the violence, the drugs, the sex, the prisons. You know why all of these establishments exist? Because of humans. because of humans. We need, we extract, we desire, we want, we must have. Doesn't really make a difference what culture you fall under. We have to have more. We have to be successful. We have to be the alpha. We have to be the queen. We have to be the greatest of all. We have to be a deity. We have to be, we just have to have. What drives people to sin? Their flesh, their idols. What drives a person to want money and want more of it? What drives a person to want that woman or that guy, to have that car, to have that level of power? Nothing that's happening now is any different than what happened thousands of years ago. You got certain people in positions that are more favorable to them versus the other people, and they do everything within their power to maintain the power and control that they have, even if it means that we have to throw everybody else in the wood chipper for us to maintain what we have. The black culture ain't the only culture that's fucked up. It's just more highlighted. And I agree, there are some things that need to be more addressed. Fortunately, I have absolutely no problem with addressing it. Everything from our music to our leaders and influencers are trash. We don't really have any. Matter of fact, we have them, they don't get enough respect. They don't get enough attention. No one talks about them. Y'all would rather hear about RuPaul and drags and transphobic women, and y'all are more focused on the next album Cardi B is coming out with and all that shit. Y'all don't really care about the black doctors and these folks that's really talking some real game. If y'all like, one of my problems with conversations like these is you're being biased. White people have been in control of this shit for generations. What are you talking about? White people are the reasons why we struggle. You got a bunch of greedy people in office that figured out how to keep their friends and family in rotation throughout history, keeping us outside the fence. We trying to get in there, but y'all maintain your own level of security, and you kept it tight knit so that we couldn't go in there and disrupt your flow. That's all. This shit ain't just about black people getting out of control, even though this shit is out of control. This is a human thing. Y'all keep trying to divide and make this shit like split. There's nothing split about this. Maybe there's some people doing more than the other. As far as I'm concerned, everybody is guilty of something here. Everybody plays a part in something here. I appreciate y'all for hanging out with me this morning. I hope you guys enjoyed the commentary. Leave your thoughts and comments. I will see you later on this evening. Like, share, subscribe if you're not already. Oh, that was a lot. Shout outs to Andrew and Piers Morgan. But we about to get up out of here, man. Y'all enjoy the rest of the day. If you need to reach me, you know where I'm at. Peace.
Mantra, slave song, slave ship, rip skin, made me rip bones. But no matter how close my ancestors speak, they tell me they're tired of them praying on us like we're weak. I haven't been getting sleep, longing to sing until I surpass peak, until they think we are equal, please.